Coming up on CHGO Cubs, MVP Pete Crow-Armstrong. He's a Gold Glover. He should be the NL MVP if you ask me. Seiya Suzuki hits his 18th homer. We're vibing. I'm sitting in for Luke Stuckmeyer. I got two pals over here I'm going to introduce when we get there. But the Cubs have won 3 straight, and we're vibing. Let's go. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and bet 365, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. Use code CHGO365 at sign up. Hello, everyone. I'm Cody, joined by my good friends and pals, as others might call them, Patrick Norton and Corey Friedman. We're vibing. I'm vibing. I'm definitely way more excited than these two right now, but largely because...
I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh, you're excited, but I'm definitely I'm a little bit more giddy. Probably because it's another day that ends in Y, and Pete Crow-Armstrong continues to just blow my mind. I don't know what else the guy's going to do anymore, whether it's making another great catch or he's hitting a ball 111 miles per hour off the scoreboard not even to take the lead, but just an insurance run. Like, that's insane. Seiya Suzuki's got 18 homers. This game gave us a little bit of everything. It wasn't like one that I'm going to remember in like 2 months, but it was a fun one, guys.
And, I do hope that Brewers manager Pat Murphy enjoyed his front row seat of the blue-haired kid, if you guys remember that quote, doing it all on full display at Wrigley Field. So, blue-haired kid.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
We got a lot to discuss, but I want to remind y'all to please hit the like button. And it is also Spirit Week here at ALLCITY and CHGO. And that is why Patrick is here.
Yes.
In my personal opinion. I also just dragged Corey here.
Am I the mystery guest today?
I think so. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Today's mystery guest, and you decided to be the mystery guest, so congratulations.
I decided to be. I came back. I was here at noon. We're back.
And, of course, we have Sarah running the 1s and 2s.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, man, this game it was a fun one. 3 straight wins. 45 and 28. You're now 6.5 games up in the NL Central. Unfortunately, our friends on the South Side couldn't help us with the Cardinals tonight, but whatever. Still 6.5 up in the division. And I mean, we're rolling right now, man. I keep waiting for like some form of like an actual slump, but it's just not happening, man. Like, the offense has struggled, but 5 runs tonight. It's nice to see.
Finally.
And how many times are we going to say, well, that's just a great win for this team? That's just how they're winning games. It's just, it doesn't matter when they're down, if they're up, whatever. They're going to, they're just kind of in that mode right now where they're doing what's necessary. And it's a heck of a thing to watch. It is a heck of a thing to watch right now.
Yeah. Let's start with PCA.
Sure.
All right. Like, he honestly was pretty quiet tonight. He got hit by a pitch in his first at bat, didn't end up scoring. I think he walked his second plate appearance. He was pretty quiet for a large majority of this game. And then he has
very loud.
Yeah. And then he has this very loud, like, hey, I'm here moment, catching that ball. I think it was off Bryce Terang with Caleb Thielbar on the mound. And I'd love to know the catch probability of this ball.
I saw 5%.
5%? 5%.
Don't quote me on that, though.
Well, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, like we like to say here. But
5% per Corey Friedman.
Yeah, per Corey Friedman. Or whatever Corey Friedman's reading on the internet. But 5% catch probability on that ball that Pete caught. And then the bottom half of the inning, he comes up.
It's first pitch, right?
I believe so. God bless Cubs legend Rob Z. But, man, just 111 miles per hour off the bat, off the scoreboard.
452.
Electrified Wrigley Field, dude. PCA chants all across the field. You hear it on the broadcast. I cannot, like, the last player that I can truly remember where that happened on a regular basis is just Javi Baez. But PCA, Javi Baez was a NL MVP runner-up. He was a big part of the 2016 World Series. But you cannot tell me that PCA is not better than Javi Baez, man. Based off this half season alone. And obviously he's got to do it for more years down the road and all this. But he is doing things that I never saw from Javi Baez too. And that's honestly why I get so giddy about the guy, because I just sit here and dream about what the real, like, is this the ceiling? And how long is it going to stay here? Because if he's just going to do this year in and year out, man, we just hope that he'd be a star. This kid's a superstar, man.
Yeah.
This kid is an absolute superstar.
And you know, the way this game plays out tonight, like, this is at least early in his career, like, this is a signature PCA kind of game. I mean, obviously, you know, they were already winning, but to lock down a close game against your division rival at the moment, the team that's, you know, closest to you, I think, in the division. Yeah. And to within the span of, what was that, 10 minutes total of, like, real time, like, just completely electrify and take over a game on both sides of the diamond. That's when he was coming up as a prospect, the type of stuff that you were dreaming about. Yeah. Like, it's the type of stuff we would write in, like, a fan fiction. Like, yeah, he's going to dive and make a catch that's basically in left field while Ian Happ tapers off behind him and then just rip one, you know, Schwarber style to the moon. And he's just going out there and doing it, man.
Yeah. And how many times did we talk about, you know, while PCA was in that prospect process of, well, even if you just get, you know, 100 WRC plus out of him, or even less than that, you're still getting an above average player. You're still getting a plus player because of his defense and because of his base running. And he's arguably the most impactful offensive player on your team, too. Yeah,
I know. Jay Grizz in the comments says, bring us a ring and do it in the playoffs. And I think that's in response to me saying that this kid might be better than Javi Baez. And that's fair. Javi Baez had plenty of big playoff moments. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that he is or isn't, whatever. All I'm saying is, if PCA plays like this for the next 5 years that he's with the Cubs for sure, this kid's going to go down as better than Javi Baez, man. He's 23 years old, and he's going to win the Gold Glove easily. He's the best defensive outfielder in baseball. Not just center fielder, outfielder. He leads in outs above average and defensive runs saved and all kinds of other big nerdy stats. I was looking it up the other day. That's just one part of his game. He's top 5 in stolen bases. And that was his, like, 18th home run of the year, 18th or 19th home run of the year. 19th. I mean, I hoped he'd hit like 15 this year.
Do you just search big nerdy stats when you're looking for that?
Whenever I'm trying to get engagement on Twitter, yes.
I've said this before, but, you know, especially on nights like tonight where you see his ability to, as I said, sort of not transform the game, but, like, take it over in such a short span all over the field. It's a franchise-changing thing, man. Like, how they act in response to it, I don't know. But, you know, a superstar that's not even in arbitration yet, like, that you have under team control until 2030, playing not just at, like, a high level for what you envision from him, but, like, really, truly, like, hitting, like, basically your wildest dream scenario of what he could be on this field. It's a franchise-changing thing. Like, not only is it changing the 2025 season, I mean, think about where they would be with everything the way it's developed, like, without him taking this extreme next step, but you look forward in, like, how they spend free agent money or where they need to make trades or add, just even projecting out years from now. It's a complete game changer to look at him not just as like, yeah, he's locked down center field. We feel pretty good about him, but we're going to need to like add more offense. It's completely different when you're looking at things going like we might have the actual MVP playing center field for us, and he's 23 years old. It's a complete like paradigm shift for this organization.
Our pal Luke Stuckmeyer is in the chat.
Go to bed, Luke.
From Mexico.
It's 3 hours past his bedtime.
But he's so electrified by Pete Crow-Armstrong that he's here, man. Credit to him.
Get it.
What else we got? I haven't acknowledged a lot of people in the chat, and I feel bad for that.
I will say, if you're going to send us super chats today, instead you should donate it to our fundraiser for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We're duo streaming on both CHGO Sports and CHGO Cubs for this fundraiser. And so instead of super chatting us, go over to CHGO Sports, and there's a donation tab the same way as you would super chat.
You could leave both tabs up. You just bring up a new tab and go to CHGO Sports.
Yeah, so on that CHGO Sports YouTube channel, you'll see if you're not in the chat, you'll just see a button that says donate, I believe. And then if you're in the chat, you'll see a button that looks like a handshake. So hit that. Good reminder. Thank you, Sarah. Super chats do not count towards that as much as we love the super chats, but the donations are great. We're trying to hit a goal of, I think, $10,000. And last time I saw it, we had just cracked a little bit over 2,500 maybe, or 2,100. We had some great donors on the Bear show today. Gary, not Gary Ross, but different Gary. Had a $100 donation. We were very appreciative of that. So
that's awesome. But yeah, appreciate anyone who donates throughout the show, or you can do it after the show too. So, anyway,
well, I want to read, if I can read, just looking at some of the stuff that's coming in post game. Craig Counsell said in the presser that PCA is playing center field at the highest level he has ever seen. And like, look, I mean, obviously it's his manager, but Counsell's been around the game a long time, and he doesn't have to say things like this. So I think it's always, again,
contractually obligated.
It's like, he is his manager. You take it however you want, but I do always like hearing stuff like that. I feel like Craig is pretty like straightforward with his praise, and like when he gives it out like that. And look, I mean, the numbers back it up, but you just watch, again, like on that catch, like the route he takes, where that ball ends up. You can look at all these advanced metrics and anything, but even if you never watched the baseball game before, like you could watch that play and immediately identify like that really should not have been caught by anybody. Yeah. And I think one of the things I appreciate, yeah. One of the things I appreciate about Pete the most and like watching his defense is I think if you're someone that didn't necessarily appreciate the value of defense, like maybe you look at Dansby as a good example, and you just don't understand why he gets that money because so much of it is tied in the defense, yada, yada. Like you watch Pete play, if you still don't understand how valuable defense is, and that like that was a hit that he took away from the Milwaukee Brewers late in a game, like with the game on the line, PCA should be like the classic example of like, oh, I get it. Like, yeah. I see this value if you didn't before.
Is it two-time Gold Glover Ian Happ in left field? Two-time? Not
Three-time.
Three-time. That three-time Gold Glover Ian Happ is not getting close to that ball. Like, Ian Happ knows on a ball hit almost directly to left field, he's like, I got to play backup on this.
Yeah. When you think about, like, October, man, like, it's that type of stuff, like taking those hits away, keeping those guys off the bases, keeping things to singles instead of extra bases, like, those are huge, huge things when it comes to winning in October and succeeding in October. And obviously, Pete hasn't had a chance to get there yet, but I very much look forward to these types of plays in close playoff games because he's going to have some big moments.
I like there's two comments I like. I like Carlos's first. He says, if the Cubs go to the World Series, I'm doing the PCA hairstyle with the blue stars. And I only mentioned that because Friday – when I was at the ballpark for Friday 120 Club, I went to the bathroom, and on my way, I saw a fella just standing down there with the blue stars in his hair already. Like, that's the kind of impact that PCA is having on this fan base, man. And I love that for us, right? What was the other comment, Sarah? Noah. Yes. Can we talk about how Happ and Tucker are enabling PCA to play so aggressively? If Pete had missed that catch, Happ might have gotten an outfield assist. He was perfectly positioned to cut that ball. I mean, that's fair. But also, like, I think in regards to how they affect the lineup, it's a big deal too.
Yeah,
so
both.
We can talk more about that after the break.
Well, and
but,
they look like they've settled in. I know we got to hit our break, but they look like they've settled in with some of those communication things. And it probably does take some time to adjust if you're Kyle Tucker or Ian Happ. Like, how often in those games you're going like, oh, shit, this guy's going to catch this.
Yeah.
Like, you do probably have to readjust a little bit. Like,
Right.
Pete's crazy out there.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to our first break, and then we'll talk more after. Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. There's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure, Corey. The Grand Highlander. Plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families or long road trips. If you're looking for efficiency, the Corolla's got you covered. It's smart, stylish, and easy on gas. Need something tougher? The Tacoma brings serious durability. And finally, the Camry. It's sleek and packed with performance. Summer starts here. From adventures to weekend escapes, our versatile lineup is ready to ride with these amazing deals to match. So visit your local dealer and find yours today. You can check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. And as always, right now is the perfect time to become a diehard. All right, to upgrade your fandom today. Get access on all our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge, where we hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO sickos in our community. We cannot wait to connect with you on an even greater level.
And just like the Cubs need a home field advantage at Wrigley Field, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. Not like those big box stores where you might be talking to a guy who was working in plumbing the day before and you're hauling everything home and setting it up yourself. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It is a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home, get precise measurements taken, and have all your questions answered so there are no surprises. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Who's heating up for the Chicago Cubs? I mean, I just gave so much love to Pete Crow-Armstrong. We didn't even really get to talk about Seiya Suzuki or the bullpen or Kyle Tucker. Y'all want to which one would you rather talk about next?
How many pounds did Kyle Tucker add tonight? Is that 15 warning track flies for you?
Oh, yeah, 15. Yeah.
15 on
but
3
thankfully,
warning track flies? Yeah.
At least those landed, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I always want to talk about Kyle Tucker. I am wearing a Seiya shirt, though.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's
really
a lot of
dealer's
Kyle
choice.
Tucker love in the chat, so we could talk a little King Tuck real quick before I do this beer bat. Kyle Tucker, 2 doubles tonight, single? I think he walked as well. I mean, the one out he made was a line drive into a glove.
Every ball he hit was over 93 miles an hour tonight. Looked real good.
All I can say, or all I'll objectively say, is that it was nice to see, even though none of them went over the fence or the wall, it's nice to see some hard hit balls of his go for extra bases, because I feel like he's been hitting a lot of singles at home of late, and that's not necessarily all on him. You know, the park factors haven't benefited Cubs offense of late, and I know a lot of fans argue back and forth between like that being an excuse or not and all that, but Kyle Tucker once again showed why he's going to make a lot of money.
Well, and
this offseason.
I liked, I don't know if he's, every player is dealing with stuff, but obviously, he dealt with the little finger thing.
That's true.
He's run into the wall a few times. I like the way they handled that, giving him the day off on Sunday, rolling that into Monday. I know he showed up in the game on Sunday, even if it ended up just being to get intentionally walked and run around. But I like the way that Craig has handled some of this, and he's started to use the DH as kind of a rest spot, either for Seiya, Tucker, whoever it might be. But I like that. And I'm not saying that that's immediately why you see him driving the ball tonight. But I think being mindful of it's a long season right now. You do have at least a somewhat sizable lead in the division. Like, keep guys fresh, keep guys healthy. Like, that'll go a long way to keeping Kyle and the rest of these guys healthy. And, I don't know, like, what else to say about his overall performance. I feel like I say it every time. It's 153 WRC plus, 284, 515 slug. The dude's one of the best hitters in the league. As advertised.
It inevitably happens kind of with every team, but you've seen it in the last 2 years specifically. You can go back even further, where injuries and just fatigue take their toll on this team down the stretch, and it just feels like they're preparing themselves better for that. Now, granted, they have awarded themselves the luxury to do that with how they've started this season, but that's quite the luxury.
That's one of the benefits. Yeah. I mean, that's the benefit of banking all those wins and like beating bad teams and taking care of business tonight against the Brewers. But I love nights like tonight. Early in the season, there were so many of those games where it was like the Kyle Tucker show, right? And I love games like tonight where he goes 3 for 4. He's on base, 4 times, and he's like the third person that you would give like a star to in this game, maybe the fourth. Yeah. I love that because it's just not something that this Cubs team has had where you're like debating like which star is really shining tonight. And it's awesome to have those hitters in this lineup where the big guy you brought in the trade goes 3 for 4, has a double, nearly hits 2 home runs, and like he's kind of an afterthought tonight. Like speaking of luxuries, like what a luxury to have that PCA and Seiya kind of steal the show, and we can look at a 3 for 4 Kyle Tucker performance and be like, yeah, it was good. It wasn't the story of the game, though, but no, it's great.
That's what great players do.
Yeah, as the shirt says, extend Kyle Tucker. I love your point, though, about the fact that he didn't like outshine. Like on a nightly basis, it's not just him being the reason that they win games. And I think in the offseason, especially after the trade was made and Cam Smith was included in the trade, and then as the offseason proceeded to go from that point on, and the Cubs not really doing anything that significant the rest of the way outside of adding Presley and adding some like what turns out to be a lot of big bullpen arms that have helped this team. Maybe I'm missing a move in there, but I think a lot of people in the offseason felt like if Kyle Tucker didn't perform on every given night, this offense was going to struggle. And this is why, what Corey said, this is why this team is in first place in the NL Central and rolling. We all knew they were going to need young guys to step up. PCA has done more than step up, but Kyle Tucker has been who he is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he is human and isn't going to have the best games every night. And they've won games where he doesn't do anything. And I think that's a sign of a team being not just good, but potentially special. We know that this team right now isn't World Series ready. My good friend Blake, who was on the show with me on Sunday, he said that this team is World Series hopefuls right now because this team isn't complete. Once we get past the trade deadline, hopefully we're really saying that they're World Series contenders. That's with some moves that they need to make. But the point overall is that Kyle Tucker, he is as great as PCA is, and as great as as great as he's been overall, like I still feel like in many, many ways, Kyle Tucker is how this team goes.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? I don't know if PCA is hitting like this if Kyle Tucker's not in the lineup. And in many ways, maybe that should be why Kyle Tucker should be the Cubs MVP.
And PCA has said, like, it's really easy to hit in this lineup. He says that a lot in those interviews, like that it's easy to get pitches and to follow the lead that these guys are having. But I think, like, when we were harping on them getting a star over the years that they missed and didn't have one, and I'm sure some people got sick of us having that conversation all the time. They need a star. They need a star. Like, even a night like tonight, like this is the difference between stars and guys who have like occasionally big performances or get hot for certain stretches. Like Kyle Tucker is constantly doing this in the background, if you want to say. There's games where he's clearly the star, the guy that wins the game, the guy that gets the only hits, like the game against Skubal, like he was the only reason they had any runs, like that type of thing. But then there's so many games where he's just doing his thing, getting a couple hits, getting on base 2-3 times. that's what's driving the offense, man. Like, certainly other guys are going to have those like shining performances like we see so often from these other guys. But just the consistency that you're seeing from Tucker to ultimately put up those numbers, like when you got a 150 plus WRC plus, you are contributing on such a consistent basis to deliver those overall numbers. I think throughout this entire season, he has shown exactly why we were all like, and whether it was Soto, Ohtani, Bryce Harper, this guy, like there was a reason that we were harping on needing that type of player. And there's also a clear difference between like a good player and what Kyle Tucker is capable of doing.
Yeah. And something that we've kind of always talked about, like that like I have talked about covering football is football is a very like complementary sport. Yeah. Like it is a very, this team will not succeed if all 11 players aren't kind of pulling their own weight. Baseball's kind of a different story where people can be going through slumps more regularly and your team can still survive. And we've seen that. I mean, we saw that this past weekend in which the Cubs hit 189 in won 3 out of 4. And tonight is a great example of they still are playing like complementary baseball, if that makes sense. Like they up and down the lineup, it is, this guy's doing this, which allows this guy to be able to open up and be able to do this. And, they pick up Carson Kelly when he has a couple of pass balls and isn't as sharp defensively. And they pick up, whatever. They are as much of a cohesive unit as we've seen from the Cubs in, I don't know how long, but it's been a long time.
8 years.
I'm looking at this, and I might have this wrong again. Don't quote me. I'm looking at 9 games on Kyle Tucker's game log that he didn't get on base.
Wow.
The entire year. And like that's just one of those
that's
things.
Insane, man.
It's just like he's either, even if it's a walk and he goes 0 for 4, but like he finds a way to participate in the offense. It's very difficult to shut him out completely. And when you combine that with Seiya continuing to be one of the best, I don't know, call it 20 hitters in baseball like he has been for the last 2 full seasons, and PCA breaking out and turning into an absolute star, makes for a solid offense, even if inconsistent at times, depending on what the other guys are doing. But that core of the offense is there.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's all driven by Kyle Tucker. It gets taken to a different stratosphere by someone like PCA and Seiya, but Kyle Tucker is the one sitting in the driver's seat.
Right. All right. I'm going to do the beer bat, and then I know we have a break. So let's make it quick. Saw some times in there earlier. Sarah, did you see any good ones? I think Luke said like 4.6 seconds.
Luke had a good one.
If Luke is
taking the over. It's hot here. I don't know.
Luke is as delusional as ever in Mexico right now, but I appreciate the confidence, Luke. We'll go. I'm going to dedicate the beer bat to the bullpen because I don't know if we get the PCA moments tonight without the bullpen. The bullpen really picked it up. Brown gave you 5 strong with bad conditions, but
yes,
the bullpen really saved him. We're going to talk more about the pitching staff in the next segment. So I'll leave it at that. But
wow,
bullpen deserves a lot
Cabrera's first beer bat dedication.
And only.
Patrick,
yes.
Do you mind doing the commentary while Cody chugs his beer?
Sure, I'd love to.
Give the audio people.
Also, if you missed it, Blake
drama.
Blake had 6.5 seconds the other day.
You get shown up on your own show.
I got shown up on my own show.
He had a CHGO Cubs record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I doubt I'm ever going to
break it.
Anyway.
I'll break it.
Is that a
heavy
challenge?
drama, bottom of the 9th.
Are we ready?
Del Mendo.
Are you ready, Sarah? Do you have
Let me grab the
timer?
stopwatch. There we go. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
The second the beer touches
Call it
your
like
lip.
Zaidman. Yeah.
There it goes. A deep fly ball. It keeps going. Empty.
That felt pretty good.
9.02 quality
That's a
chug.
quality chug.
That is
I
a
almost
quality
spit
chug.
all that
I'm
up
sorry.
because you're
Sorry, I
cracking
didn't
me
mean
up.
to do
I'm
that.
sorry. I'm sorry. That was me.
Anything under 10 is a quality chug. I'll take it.
All right.
Well, I mean, does quality chug work like quality start? Is that hot garbage, or does it depend on?
Well, in this case, hot garbage is good.
Right.
One might
Quote
say.
him. Make a shirt. Joe, get on it. Hot garbage is good.
How many? Where are we at on time, Sarah? We need a break? Okay. All right, we're going
I
to
need
talk
a break.
pitching in the next segment. Let us know who impressed you the most in the chat. Let's go. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams and every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We've all been there. Your parlay's one leg away, and then a Cubs reliever comes in and gives up a walk-off bomb in the ninth. It's heartbreak, I know, all right? The HOF app is built to fix that. Started by two lifelong sports fans who also happen to be Ivy League grads, HOF makes parlay research smarter, faster, and data-driven. This is not your buddy's group chat full of hot takes. It's a full analytics engine. The HOF app gives you access to advanced stats, historical data, and powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app is built for the everyday sports fan, so it's easy and intuitive to use. You get an idea of your parlay's chances to hit and identify weak legs so you can weed them out before you place them. Whether it's MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, or college sports, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, and real insight, not hype. They believe anything the books know, you should know too, because parlays don't have to be dumb bets. With HOF, they aren't. With a 4.9 rating in the App Store, they have over 6,000 five-star reviews. It's safe to say HOF has already helped a lot of people bet smarter. Our listeners get a 7-day free trial and 50% off their first month. Just download the HOF app or visit hofbets.com and use code CHGO at checkout. For a limited time only, our listeners not only get that 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use code CHGO at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS or Android and visit hofbets.com. Enter code CHGO and you're all set. Back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast, we hit 100 likes. Can we get to 200? We got 30 minutes of more Cubs talk. Can we get to 200 before the end of the show? I think it's possible, Sarah.
We have 30 minutes of more likes to be hit.
Exactly.
More likes to be had and more donations to be donated to our big brothers and big sisters.
Preach,
and
girl.
more subscribers to happen.
Someone in one of these
Cubs.
3 chairs just donated $50. Just going to point that out.
Wow.
So
big of you to say that.
big of me to point that out. So,
credit to you, man.
Credit to me. So what
Well, he didn't say that it was him.
Hey, whoa.
Pointing it out, though.
Whoa. No, it's big of me to point it out.
Yes.
All I'm saying is I should not be the leader in the clubhouse. So we need someone to top that.
Anyway, what you guys?
Well, I was just gonna say before we talk about pitching, just really quick, because I know like JD mentioned something on the broadcast, but I know we loosely talked about Seiya a little bit, but obviously huge hit in this one.
You wore the right shirt. I mean, we both kind of. I mean, my guy had 3 hits.
Hey.
Your guy had
and Pat's channeling
homer,
PCA somehow.
Yeah.
Blue-
yeah, you
blue
are kind of
shirt, blue
channeling
hair.
PCA.
I don't know.
If you were wearing like extra baggy jeans or something, you would be giving a lot more
Sweatpants,
Gen Z
yeah.
right now.
Sure.
With some flowers on them or something.
No free ads, but LL Bean, very comfortable.
I don't know. I don't think PCA is rocking LL Bean.
Are you sure? Not a big main guy.
The only thing I wanted to say about that is I always love to look this up, and it it only changes every so often. But like if you go back to like August of 23, when he came back, David Ross sat him down. Seiya came back. Like since August of 23 to now, Seiya's tied for 10th in baseball in WRC plus, not National League baseball. Like he is up there with the best hitters you can think of, and Seiya is in that group. And so at this point you're going on over 2 years of him being a top of the league guy.
Sure.
And so huge hit tonight. Obviously they needed a big hit, big slug, real bad after the last week and so many low scoring outputs from the offense. But he just continues to be just a really great story and a great hitter for this Cubs team.
I will put my hand up and say, I kind of deserved this from Seiya Suzuki today because not because I'm a fan and want the Cubs to win, but it's kind of in many ways. I'm sure some people thought I was slandering Seiya yesterday because we were talking about Rafael Devers, and just to play devil's advocate, I was like, would you rather have Rafael Devers or Seiya Suzuki? And me and Kevin both sat there in Studio B and said we'd rather have Rafael Devers.
Well, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, that's allowed.
But in the way that it was framed, when I went back and watched myself, I was like, there's probably going to be some people annoyed with me. So I'm just putting my hand up and saying that I've always appreciated Seiya Suzuki. I've always been a supporter. I've always thought that this guy could be what he has been this year.
You and me were in the trenches defending that man a couple years ago.
We were. Right? And 18 homers, and as a gambling man that I am, guys, 19.5 was the Vegas line. He's at 18 homers on the year. To me, it sucks that if there's anything that also sucks about Devers being in the NL now, is that he's and for DH right now in All-Star voting, it's Ohtani and then Devers with Seiya on the outside looking in there with Kyle Schwarber. And I'm like, to me, all four of them deserve to go to the All-Star game, man. Like, it would be a travesty if Seiya Suzuki doesn't go to the All-Star game. This guy is a big reason why the Cubs are even good. He's top 5 in the National League in RBIs. And I know he strikes out a lot sometimes, and some of his strikeouts look horrendous in terms of just how it looks with your eyes when you watch. But, I mean, this guy, I feel like in many ways sometimes we forget about him because we're talking about Kyle Tucker and we're talking about PCA, and, we'll talk about, other dudes sometimes. It's Seiya Suzuki has been everything that I ever dreamed he could be this season. And it goes into why they're in first place.
It probably has something to do with the fact that he's just crushing the ball, but it also, the eye test tells me or appears to me that he is not looking at as many called third strike. Like he's jumping, he's being a little bit more defensive in the zone, which is great, and something that had hurt him even through the beginning of this year. It was still kind of hurting him. So he's grown to be comfortable in his role with this team, which is, sure, I am the primary DH, and yes, I would like to be in the field, but I will contribute where I can, and I will contribute as well as possible. And that's a great person to have.
Well, and it's nice to see, nights like tonight too. I mean, certainly we see games like Tucker had tonight from Seiya as well, where he's got 3 or 4 hits, whatever. But Seiya struck out 3 times in this game, and early in the game, didn't look great.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what you need, especially when the offense has been going the way that you did. Like, maybe you have a couple ugly PAs, but you get your pitch and you smash it, and it changes the game and ultimately puts the Cubs in a position to win this game. So nice of Seiya, to make those adjustments. And last thing on him from me is I just love in the post game, like Pete talking about how, Seiya hit a home run, so I needed to hit a home run. Like, I love, a good BFF. We had Brizzo many years ago. Like, I love a good BFF, in clubhouse rivalry where they're, trying to one up each other, but in a very fun way for us fans, right?
I love the obvious shirt, the Step Brothers, that has their faces cropped on there. So it's the most unlikely duo that I would have ever expected from this team. But it's fun.
Well, and our guy Niren in the chat brings up a point that we've kind of talked about, and it goes back to our discussion about Kyle Tucker and how important that was. Like, he's not asked to be the best power bat on the team. And I feel like it's all the crux. We've talked about it so much with getting the star and getting Tucker, and it changes everybody else's role. It puts everybody else into a slightly more, some more so than others, complementary position where they can do their thing and we can just appreciate it, because we don't need to look at them and say, like, well, if that's the best hitter on the team, like, is that good enough? Like, is he allowed to have those slumps, etc.? Like, you don't have to ask those questions. Like, Kyle Tucker is going to be the consistent, I'm the man kind of guy. PCA maybe is going to take that from him, but that's great. What a lovely problem to have. But Seiya is one of those guys where it's like, do your thing and we can just appreciate it. You don't need to carry the offense. You don't need to put this entire offense of solid hitters on your back. Now you have a little more around you. Do your thing, and boy, does it look great in the context of this full now Cubs lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Extend Jed.
Extend everyone.
Extend Brad Keller. Shout out Sean Caselli.
Extend Crane Kenny.
No.
You said
No.
everyone. You said
No.
everyone. Okay.
He's extended for life. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah. All right, Ben Brown tonight. 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 5 Ks. The 2 runs he allowed were off a homer from the old classic slapdick, as one might call it, that I have never heard of. I'm just being honest. I had no idea who that was. And on my Cubs killer list, there's always a random guy like that.
Yep.
Sure.
So, no offense to that guy, but that's just
That
what
guy.
he is. I think my overarching point, though, considering the wind blowing out tonight, yeah, Ben Brown gave up some hard contact, but I do feel like it was a bounce back start from his one that he had in Philadelphia last week. And he also had some innings where he was in some trouble and he didn't completely fall apart.
Yeah.
So my big takeaway from this start from Ben Brown is that he didn't let the big inning come, and that's been a problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Brown, as we talked about a lot, like this is a young guy getting the ball every 5th day at this level consistently for like the first time in his career, and he's still developing. And I think tonight he did what he needed to win the game. And, you know, he still has some areas to grow. I think especially his command, especially command with like 2 strikes. He really too frequently just doesn't make his best pitch when he has hitters on the ropes. But 2 walks, struck out 5, gave up the homer. And, you know, as you said, like on a night where the wind was blowing out, like he did enough to keep the Cubs in this game. And ultimately that's what matters on nights like tonight. As you're evaluating Brown and like his future prospects and things like that, he's still growing. But, you know, I think he pitched well considering the conditions tonight. And there's clear areas that, you know, he still needs to settle in and kind of find his major league footing underneath him. But, you know, he shows those flashes too, man. Like there's some, you know, he threw a couple really nice pitches to Christian Yelich. Those breaking balls below the zone got him twice, swinging on those, like really, really good pitches. So you see those flashes, and, you know, it's just a question of like what that next level is for him, how quickly he can get there. But as we talked about, you know, similar to the luxury that being, you know, 6.5 games up in the division provides you as far as like resting guys, like being more careful with your matchups and things like that, it allows you to let him develop. Like they won the game tonight. Like I know sometimes when he has bad starts like in Philadelphia, oh, we got to get him out of the rotation. We got to do this. First of all, for who, right, at the moment. And secondly, like, you know, look, like they're not, like they have a minute to breathe. And it doesn't mean you take a 6.5 or 7 game lead in the division for granted, but like you've earned it. Like, and so he went out there, he helped you win a ball game tonight. He still has things to do in his development, but yeah, of course he does. He's 25 years old. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just an odd observation as well. I was listening to a good chunk of the game on the radio tonight. We need Ron Coomer, and God forgive me because I do love the Coom Dog.
Former Cub and All-Star Ron
Former
Coomer.
Cub and
Yeah.
All-Star Ron Coomer, but not former Cub All-Star. Very important
Correct.
distinction.
Yes.
He called him Brownie maybe 45 times, and I can't do it. I can't
You're
do
not into it.
Can't do Brownie.
It's like how I'm not into Bushy.
I kind of came around on Bushy.
I'm not into
I'm kinda
Bushy.
into it.
I'm not
You're
into
into Bushy?
I'm not into Matty for Matt Shaw. I'm not into it.
Well, if
Maybe
you were a
it'll come
hockey
around.
player, they'd call what? Shawzer?
Shawzy?
Yeah,
Shawzy?
Shawzy. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Luke have had this conversation about Shaw specifically.
Ross, I feel like, was more like pointed with those than
big time.
Council is.
Yeah.
Ross was a big nickname guy.
Stir or a Y on the end of
Yeah.
it. Shaw
Yeah.
Stir.
I'd have to think about Brownie, but
Brown
yeah.
Stir doesn't really have the same.
eh.
So you have a problem
I
with
just
how
call him
Ron
Ben
Coomer
Brown.
Nick calls his nickname. Corey thinks he needs to cut his hair.
Coomer?
No, Ben Brown.
Ben Brown.
Have you seen Coomer's
That
flow
we had a
too?
whole
Ron
conversation
Coomer
about
can
his
do
hair.
whatever he wants.
Coomer's got
Yeah. The Coom Dog
heck
can
of
do
a
whatever
flow
he
going
wants.
right now. I'm not joking.
Okay. So I thought Ben Brown's. You want to call it a step in development or not, or you just want to call like positive signs? I mentioned getting through the trouble. I'm looking at the 5th inning. You mentioned Christian Yelich, Corey. He struck out. So the 5th inning, I'll just start with it. He grounded out. Jackson Chourio grounded out to Hoerner, and then William Contreras singled on a ground ball back to Ben Brown. It was like one of those swinging
threw
bunts,
it away. Yeah.
Right? Then Yell struck out. Then he hit Rhys Hoskins with a pitch. We all thought maybe he hit the bat. He got hit by pitch, and it looked painful. So you got two guys on with 2 outs, and he gets the ground out from Isaac Collins, who was the guy who hit the homer, I learned. So that's like that's just one inning and all this, but I've seen so many innings from this guy completely blow up. Some of the worst innings he's had this year, he's given up 5, 6, 7 runs in the inning.
Yeah.
Largely just because it's not command because he's walking guys, but command because he's throwing balls over the middle of the plate. And that's why a lot of fans think him only having 2 pitches is what's the problem with him. I do think, or I do wish that he would throw that changeup more. And maybe I still have hope that he will before the end of the year. But at the end of the day, just I think for his own confidence, working out of some of those jams is big for him. For a young pitcher who's just trying to make it. He's just trying to make it. And I don't think that he's going to take off now or any of this, but you see the start against the Tigers and having to go toe-to-toe with Skubal. You saw the appearance before that where he had the opener and he pitched 6 strong innings after that. And then you see what he did in Philadelphia where he took a step back, but he took a step forward today. I just honestly think that that's just basically what we're going to see most of the rest of the year. But if that is, hopefully by the end of the year, you're like 5 starter, you live with that, and then you hope, as a fan at least, you hope that next year is a year where he takes that next step. Right now, he has been as good as you could have hoped considering the role coming into the year was a 5 starter. And that's why I've defended him so much. But largely, I've defended him so much because of that, but also because when you see some of the strikeouts he had, some of the whiffs that he is getting on guys like Christian Yelich and Jackson Chourio and all those dudes and William Contreras, it's like this guy can be a
you
guy.
Can dream
one
on
day.
it. Yeah.
He can be a guy. It's just he's young, and that's a lot. Like not every young pitcher is Paul Skeens, and you're just gonna go out and shove from the moment you show up to the major leagues. You know what I mean? So I just think that the way that fan base has gone back and forth with him, like on the extreme side, the fan base either thinks that he freaking sucks and needs to go to Iowa, or maybe they're more like me, where maybe they're a little bit more delusional and thinking that he's fine, or, you're just kind of hoping that things get better as the season goes along. There's nothing that truly proves that's going to happen. So that's why I, in many ways, call it delusion. Big of me to admit that I'm calling it delusion.
Yes,
but I think the overarching point, though, is that you just have to remember that the kid is young, and you just got to ride this roller coaster with him. And it also points to the fact that they need to get that high end frontline starter. So.
Well, and I think like either way, again, like there's clear things that you're, needing him to do to take that next step. But you go out there in tough conditions for a pitcher at Wrigley Field here on Tuesday night, and he gets a W. Like he pitches well, pitches out of some jams, 5 innings, 2 runs against the team that's in second place chasing you. Like that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who it is or where they are. And this is all really valuable for the Cubs. Like as they go forward, you think like years into the future, like you're talking as he develops, like using this time where Steele is out, Shota's been out, and giving Brown the opportunity to really see what he can do. Like go out there and develop. Like it's valuable time. We've seen so many times, and sometimes, you got to get by with what you have to get by with. But we've seen the Cubs use times like this and sort of waste it on older guys or, just spinning wheels on things. Like this is really giving a shot to a guy you traded for, a guy that was on some prospect lists, and like giving him a true chance to develop. And it's paid off for them in some of the results, and like hopefully long term, it's something that we look back on and are really glad that they gave him this shot.
Well, I wanted to point out Bobby Blanco's comment. He said, I tried to point out that Randy Johnson's first year, he had an ERA over 6 and led the league in walks 3 times before he had ever led in strikeouts. Pitchers need time to grow a lot of the times. I don't think Bobby's trying to say that he's the next Randy Johnson, but I understand his point that he's young. We can sit here and maybe dream about him being Randy Johnson from the right side if you want, though.
Yeah. I mean, work with me on this one. Let me workshop this one out loud. So when the Cubs decided to use an opener for Ben Brown,
that was Drew Pomerantz.
Drew Pomerantz. In my newsletter, I'd pulled the stats for how he had performed per inning. So, earned runs allowed per inning. And it was like 10 in the first, essentially like 1 or 2 in the second, third, and then in the fourth, it was 10. And then in the fifth, it was 12. Yeah. Isn't it almost somewhat comforting that his earned runs came tonight in the second inning?
Yeah.
Just kind of like all right, blip on the radar. No big deal. This isn't like oh my gosh, here it comes, whatever.
Here we go again,
as silly as that sounds, because there's really no correlation there. It just is kind of like a psychological, got past the first, didn't make as good of a pitch in the second. Oh, well, move on.
Yeah, I will say that he got through that first inning pretty quickly, and I came out of it thinking, wow, he got out of the first inning without like any trouble at all. I think he went 1, 2, 3, or no, he gave up a double, but then he didn't allow that run either. So I think going into tonight, he had a 10.50 earned run average in the first inning. Of course, he gives up the homer in the second inning, but again, he didn't have the big inning affect him. And largely, when you're talking about earned run average in those innings and why they're so high, is because he's had a lot of those random innings there, and a lot of them being the first inning, because he lets some of those innings spiral. And the first inning, I would say the biggest problem he's had is he's walked dudes. There's one start where I know Luke remembers it because he came on postgame and said Brown threw like 10 first pitch, or he threw 10 balls out of his 11 first pitches. I think I said that correctly.
Yeah.
10 of his 11 first pitches were of his start.
He only had one
balls.
first pitch strike.
Yeah.
Out of 11 at bats. Yeah.
Right. And so he would start behind, and then he couldn't find the zone, and then they gave him the opener, and I delusionally thought that maybe he was going to take off from there, because then he had 2 good starts, took a step back against Philadelphia, better tonight, but it's nothing to be like, okay, he's going to take off now. Like, I honestly just want to see more of these type of starts. Like, just keep the team in the game. I'd love a start like he did against the Tigers and Tarek Skubal on Apple TV.
One
like
of those garbage.
I would love a few more of those throughout the year, but I'll take what he did tonight on every fifth day from him. So,
sure. Remember when Edwin Jackson was every fifth day, and it was just a guaranteed loss?
The tank was fun.
The tank was a tank. Lord.
What a name drop.
I just remember every time that Edwin Jackson came up in the rotation, every time that I think of a fifth man, I think of Edwin Jackson, and I just think of, I will not be watching this game today.
Yeah, not one of Theo Epstein's best moves, but I always think that it was all part of the process of tanking
and getting him the most jerseys in baseball history.
Yeah. We got like 10 minutes left, so bullpen.
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Sorry, Sarah. Thank you. Genesis Cabrera.
Heinassis.
Heinassis?
Heinassis.
Heinassis? Is that
Heinassis? Yeah. It's hay is the first syllable. You're welcome for that one.
Thank you, Pat. What would we do without you?
He is our news writer.
Yeah.
Our weekly
he knows it
news
all.
writer.
Cabrera. Daily.
We're going Cabrera. Pitched
Cabrera.
an inning.
G. Cabrera.
G. Cabrera.
Former Cardinal Cabrera.
Yes, Cardinals legend.
Also, I just want to point out, the clock is right in front of Cody. For him to say 10 minutes was wild.
Well, I wasn't looking at
wild.
it. I'm sorry.
Even I
Brad
can sit over
Keller,
here.
Caleb Thielbar, Daniel Palencia gets the save. Cabrera gave up a run, but if you watch the inning, he like the Babbitt
Did they
gods.
not call that an error?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
It should have been like it. Bush should have got an error in that.
I mean,
inning.
tough play, but that's a rough earned run for Cabrera is the point.
And that's the only earned run by the Cubs bullpen tonight. And also like when the run came around, it was off a Joey Ortiz 68-mile-an-hour bloop hit on a pitch that was nowhere near the
ankles,
zone.
Yeah.
So that was just I rolled because it's like I've seen this movie before from this team.
It was
in
a solid
Milwaukee.
outing from Cabrera.
Yeah. So I thought overall, if you watch the inning, you're like, baseball is baseball. That's stupid. But Keller, again, awesome. Thielbar has been nails, 2 strikeouts in the 8th inning, and then Palencia getting the save. I guess he almost gave up a homer to, I think it was Churio. Stayed in the park, got a pop out after that. PCA looked like he was going to drop it, but he didn't. So, and this bullpen continues to be awesome, man.
Well, and I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff from the bullpen that we've seen recently, but I think Thielbar is the one that really stands out to me. I mean, a 1.69 ERA on the season.
Yeah.
And it started a little rocky for him, but man, does that look like a good move? And he has just been nails as that left-handed guy out of the bullpen. And, really the bullpen as a whole, we've seen Brad Keller doing this basically the whole year. Daniel Palencia, gave up the one hard hit, but I mean, at one point the strikeout looking, dotting 101 on the outer portion of the plate. And you can see he's always had a swagger about him, but you can see he's feeling the success now, flowing. He's like, I got this. I know what I'm doing out here. I belong out here. Yeah. And it's not all one move, but it goes back to I think I mentioned this at the time. I really liked Craig going back to him in that series in Miami after that walk-off, and he blew that one game, and he went back to him in the next night.
That was
and
his
that
first
was,
save opportunity.
Yeah,
right?
and that was before it was really clear that this was his position. And I loved it at the time. For a young guy, it was not a big deal that he blew that game. And to continue to show the confidence in him, is that why he's succeeding? I don't think so. But, those little things, they go a long way to, helping a guy build up to that. But the bullpen as a whole, man, the offense hasn't been doing a ton of good work. This is the first time, as we talked about, in the 5 previous games, they had scored 3 runs or less, and the bullpen just doing a great job. And the way you build a 6.5 or 7 game lead, and you end up as a team right now that has one of the best records in baseball, is by winning games like this. It's close. You don't string a lot of offense together throughout the game, but you do enough to get that winning run ahead, and your bullpen shuts it down. And that's been the case so many of these wins that, the record, I think they're the second best team in baseball in 1-run games. Just stuff that we have not seen from a Cubs team in a good while. And it's been great to watch. Like I said, Thielbar to me just stands out as the one because I feel like his numbers catch me by surprise the most. I'm like, damn, this guy's been really good for this team. But yeah, I mean, Brad Keller.
And I think we all would have, just going into it, we were all like, yeah, maybe Keller 8th inning. But then they brought Keller out for the 7th inning, and you originally thought that maybe Craig was going to do the whole, bring Palencia in for the 8th inning to face, the middle of that Brewers lineup. But Keller actually came in to face the 2, 3, 4 hitters in that 7th. So then he went to Thielbar for the bottom of the lineup, and then Palencia faced, the bottom.
And I dig it. Keller's the,
wraparound.
It's
the wraparound.
Keller's it's close, and this is where I kind of feel like the game is on the line guy for Craig, it seems. So, and I dig it. That's how, we talk so much, who's the closer and all that other stuff. Right now it's Palencia, but it's all semantics, right? And you get paid on getting saves. I understand the relievers probably care who the closer is.
Right.
But ultimately, you just got to identify those guys that are pitching in high leverage, and the Cubs have found that for them so far.
And it goes hand in hand with the whole idea of complementary baseball. Offense carried them through April and most of May. Starters have been hurt. Offense has, dealt with a couple of injuries, but now is just, a little bit of a slump here and there. Bullpen has carried them through.
Yeah.
Now they're soon to get Shota back. That's complimentary ball right there.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it.
All phases.
I will say that Brad Keller, we made the argument yesterday. If there's anyone in this bullpen that can go to the All-Star game, it's Brad Keller. This guy, the way he got that strikeout in the 7th inning was huge. So
he's been great.
He's been my
and we talked about it, a credit to their scouting development. It's a guy they pulled out of those one of those showcases, right? And to develop this, and now he's your guy that you trust the most. Game on the line. I'm pretty sure he's given the ball to Brad Keller. That's a real testament to the work that they've done. As in inner organization.
We have a minute left, but I want to point out Cubs legend, World Series champion, Kyle Hendricks, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 0 earned.
Dude, I thought you were about to talk about Rob Zizishny. I thought you were going to talk about the PCA homer. I was like, wow, what an intro for that.
No, Kyle Hendricks shoved against the Yankees tonight, and I just love that for him. Cubs legend, man.
Hell yeah, man.
I'm happy for him. And he hasn't been that great this year, but
ERA under 5.
the vintage, he has those vintage performances every now and then. So I just had to point it out before we get out of here. All right. Thanks to everyone hanging out with us tonight. We had around 250 people live and only 136 likes. So before you get out of here, hit the like button, please. Tomorrow, Kevin Wells and Joey Christopoulos was with me. So thanks, fellas, for helping me out tonight.
Of course, anytime.
I'll make sure to ask you next time Luke goes to Mexico.
Got it.
All right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Cubs win 5-3, 3 straight wins. PCA is the NL MVP. If you ask me, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.